I'm Stephen Taylor and welcome to day 3 of this 10-day beginner starter chorus challenge. Remember, 10 minutes a day, practicing on the drums for 10 days, and by the end of this, you're gonna have all the material you need to master 20 songs on the drums. It's the 3rd lesson and we've already learned 5 songs. Before we jump into the 2 drum beats that we're gonna be learning in this lesson, yes, 2 drum beats in under 10 minutes, I promise you. I want you to understand what we're doing here. We're establishing the habit of sitting down and playing the drums. Learning the drums is not hard. Establishing the habit of sitting down and practicing every day, that's the hard part. And that's why we're starting with just 10 minutes a day. If you can do 10 minutes a day for 10 days, taking that to 15, 20, 30, 40, 60 minutes, that's easy. But the 10 minutes, starting that and keeping it going, that's the hard part. This drum beat we're learning today has been on thousands, maybe tens of thousands of songs. It's a variation of the money beat, and what we're gonna be doing in the bass drum is playing 4 on the floor. The money beat is the drum beat that we learned in the very first day that we started these lessons. I also wanna remind you, all of the material you can find it at my website. It's all put together in a course where you don't have to enter your email address, you don't have to log in, nothing. It's just going to be there on the page. That link is in the video description, and it'll also have the playlist and any other resources that go along with this mini course. Here's the drum beat. So it's going to be the drum beat from lesson 1, day 1. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add 2 and 4 in the bass drum. So now the bass drum plays 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a term we call 4 on the floor. The hi-hat is still playing 8th notes. The snare drum's still playing 2 and 4. Now remember, if you can't play it, we want to reduce. When in doubt, take it out. I know, it's a cheesy saying, but you're going to remember it, okay? When you can't play something, eliminate some of the limbs. So we're just going to start with the bass drum on 4 on the floor. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you can play that, then we add 2 and 4 on the snare drum. Now something you want to watch out for is what we call flamming. You want that snare drum and bass drum to be a unison, but sometimes they'll sound like this. We want them to be played together, not separate. Once you get that, then we add the 8th notes over here on the hi-hat. 3, 4. The tactic we've been using in the last 2 lessons applies to this as well. If you can't play the whole thing, then I want you to play individual beats. On beat 1, it's a unison with the kick drum and hi-hat, and then a hi-hat. Beat 2, it's a unison with the snare drum, hi-hat, bass drum, and then hi-hat. What we do is we slowly string those together, putting some space in between each so we can think about it, because your brain cares about what? Correct repetition. So it's very important that we get the patterns in the order that they need to go, more so than we string them all together before we can actually play it. Now once you can play that, then I want you to go over to that playlist and play Another One Bites the Dust by Queen. It'll sound like this. Look at that, I told you we were learning 20 songs. You're already on song number 6 and it's the 3rd day. We're about to learn 2 more songs. Okay, for this next drum beat, we're actually combining the beats from day 1 and day 2 into like this super beat. Beats 1 and 2 are gonna be the beats from day 1. Beats 3 and 4 are gonna be the beats from day 2. So beat 1 and 2 is beat 1 and 2 from day 1. Beat 3 and 4, beats 3 and 4 from day 2. Now let's remember that. We had kick drum, hi-hat, and then hi-hat on beat 1. Then we had snare drum, hi-hat, and hi-hat. Then we're switching to the We Will Rock You groove for the second half. Remember that? So it's 2 kick drums, and then a snare drum. Up until now, we've been playing grooves that are what we would call 2-beat grooves. In other words, beats 1 and 2 look exactly like beats 3 and 4. Now it's different. Beats 1 and 2 are different than beats 3 and 4. The only beats that look the same are beats 2 and 4, where we have hi-hat, snare, and hi-hat. So beats 2 and 4, those are the same thing. Those are just like each other. But beat 1 and beat 3, those are different. So let me string these together with a little space in between. Remember, correct repetition. That's what our brain cares about. Now don't forget, you want to work on your transitions too. Remember, we're transitioning in between voices, so once you learn that drum beat, then work on one measure here on the hi-hat, one measure on the ride cymbal. What was that other thing that we were adding? The crash cymbal, right? So now we add the crash cymbal in between them. You ready to hear the two songs that you just learned? You're not going to believe it. You learned a John Lennon song, Imagine. Now there's no drums at the front, but once the drums come in, they're playing this drum beat. And the second song that has this drum beat, among many, is from a little band you may know called Tears for Fears. The song is called Head Over Heels. Now remember, in these songs you're gonna hear a couple of drum fills. You may hear a little variation on the bass drum every now and then. Don't worry about those for right now. If you can play along through the song with this drum beat, you have played the song. Later we can go back and learn specific drum fills if we want to, all of those things. So in this lesson we learned Another One Bites the Dust, Imagine, and Head Over Heels. With the students in my online drum school, we have calls weekly, and I'm on there live with them on a Zoom call with sometimes 30, 40 people, and I'm constantly telling them, you have to play music every time you sit down. That's why I'm so obsessed with you learning music. We are on lesson 3, and we learned 4 songs in lesson 1, 1 song in lesson 2, and we just learned 3 songs in lesson 3. And I kid you not, if you will devote the 10 minutes a day, you are going to be able to play these songs much sooner than you ever thought you could. And if you're a total beginner, look, this 10-day starter course is great. After that, you can jump over to my website. It's linked below, stevensdrumshed.com. And in the members area, the online campus of my online drum school, which has been going for 14 years, I have a complete beginner's course called The Warrior Way. It's going to take you from zero to hero in less time than you think possible. But remember, the thing we're working on is 10 minutes a day, the habit of practice. Now tomorrow, we're going to be working on day 4, and you're learning your very first drum fill. I'll see you over there.